one of those things I was watching on Sunday. I was like, man, if this wasn't like such a huge split thing, this would be so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lions offense at home, at Ford Field, compared to when they're on the road, like that was one of my huge takeaways from this game. That offense that was out there on Sunday against the Bears. Now listen, the Bears defense is not phenomenal, okay? But they did exactly what you're supposed to do when you have a top 5 offense and they have a, below average offense.
Right.
You impose your will.
Yep.
I just want to see that more often outside of the walls of Ford Field. Because we can't take Ford Field to Green Bay, Wisconsin and put it down and play there. We're going to have to find a way to play on the road. And statistically, offensively as a team, we are not as good on the road as we are at home. And for this Week 18 matchup, and for what potentially could loom post-Week 18, we're not playing at Ford Field again.
Right.
So for me, I was like, man, Jared Goff is a pretty darn good quarterback at Ford Field.
Yep.
His passer rating is 22 points higher at Ford Field than it is on the road. He has 17 more touchdowns in 2 games. 2 more games. He's played 9 games at home, 7 on the road. 17 more touchdowns at home than he does on the road. 1 more interception on the road in 2 less games than he does at home. I just want to see consistency. And maybe that's my biggest beef with Jared Goff.
Yep.
Is like, come on, man. Like, if you could maybe take a little bit off when you're at home and add it to when you're on the road, you got a solid quarterback.
Yep.
But when there's that much of a discrepancy, that's where we start to have a problem. And that offense was fun on Sunday.
Well, luckily, we got the compliment that we've been needing from Goff because for whatever reason, this run game has been terrible for the past few weeks. Now you get a much-needed game from DeAndre Swift where he's involved in the run game and the pass game.
Yes.
Jamal, he got that last run that helped hit his incentive in his contract to go over a certain number of yards this season. Yeah, to get over 1,000 yards. So, but again, them both having that complimentary game, and we talked about J-Mo's big run, that splash X-factor effect that he brings to the game that you can't predict and stop. That needs to be a part of it. It can't just be Goff winging it 40 times. He threw it, 29 times, I think, in this game?
He was 21 for 29.
If he's throwing between 25 and 30,
we're good.
If he's throwing between 25 and 30, I'm happy. Because if he gets to throw more than that, it means your run game's not doing anything or you're behind a lot. And you don't want either of those things being the case right now.
Especially in Week 18.
Yes.
When you are at the frozen tundra, sorry. Ooh, it's been a while.
You can mess that name up. I don't care. I'm so sick of that term. Go ahead. Frozen tundra. Whatever.
Frozen tundra. Wisconsin. But when you're up there at the, frozen field that resides in Lambeau, you can't throw the ball 40 times. No. If you end up throwing the ball 40 times, things have not gone well for us. Mm-hmm. I'm so intrigued because now Sunday Night Football, as the news broke today, our Lions got their primetime game.
Yeah.
Which is interesting for a number of reasons. Mm-hmm. But one of our writers at DSN just wrote an editorial, which everybody should check out, about how the NFL has now screwed the Detroit Lions again. Because they give them a primetime game, but that primetime game might not mean anything.
Right.
So my question to you is, how do you feel about that? My question to everybody watching is, how do you feel about this Sunday Night Football game? Do you think that the NFL kind of did the Lions a little bit dirty by potentially taking the meaning out of this game for them and kind of highlighting the Aaron Rodgers effect, right? Because if Green Bay wins, they're in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
If they win, it doesn't matter what Seattle does.
Yep.
So did the NFL prop up its, and I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it. Their long-haired hippie poster boy. There was a different direction I was going to go on.
No, I know exactly where we're going. It's okay.
It's a family show, right?
Family show, yes.
So how are we feeling about this Sunday Night Football game?
You know what? I think this is a big game, but I think it's a bigger game for a different reason. Okay. It kind of goes to SOL, and I think we've kind of talked about it a lot. This game, I think, is bigger for us as fans than it is for the Lions team. We are exercising the demons of getting past the Green Bay Packers. You just said it. If Seattle wins, it doesn't matter. This game, it doesn't mean anything. Now,
For the Lions.
For the Lions, exactly.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it means something for us because we want to see them finally put the stake in the heart of Green Bay and, rip their hopes out. I'm fine with that. But in terms of what it does for this team, like for me, they've already surpassed expectations. They don't have to prove anything with this game. Like, I don't look at this as, this is going to decide who they are and put the stamp on what they did. No, I don't look at this game at all. Now, would I like to see them win? Yes. Do I think they're going to win? Tune in to see later. But I think this is just a bigger game for us as fans to exercise the demons of SOL from our minds, not this young rookie-fled team that is learning to win on the fly in their first season. So, no, I don't look at it the same in that regard.
Man, okay, you said it twice, and I think I'm gonna start buzzering you every time. But and we'll talk about this a little bit more at the end of the show. That acronym is no longer allowed.
Okay.
Do not. If you have not exercised, and we talked about this coming out of the Carolina game, right?
Yeah.
If we have exercised the demons of SOL, this team is not SOL. The only thing that is SOL right now is maybe the PTSD that some fans have. Okay,
That's
sure,
it.
I understand that, and that's legitimate. But given what this team experienced in Carolina, and then did what they did against the Bears on Sunday, SOL teams would have lost on Sunday.
I agree.
They wouldn't have bounced back.
Yep.
They would have had the playoff hopes hanging out there. This team fought. This team stayed alive to live another day. So I do not want to hear, unless you are referring to it in this way, as Ricky so eloquently put up. Okay?
Strong
That's the only way that SOL is allowed to be said, is strong offensive line.
Which they are.
265 rushing yards on the Chicago Bears. That's it. At first, and I'm going to answer the question, how do I feel about the Sunday night game? At first, I was like, dang it, man. I don't like this. I don't like it at all. Because I want to go in at 1 o'clock. I want to handle our business and then let the chips fall where they may.
Right.
That's it. I don't want to come into this game knowing that Seattle had beat the Rams, which I'm not so sure they're going to do, by the way. So all we're doing now at this point is playing spoiler.
Pretty much.
I didn't want that set up. But then, talking to our buddy Jeff, and actually my brother Matt, who's been on the show too, he said, it's a win-win situation, right? Because if we win, we're in. If Seattle loses. If Seattle wins and we win, we spoil Green Bay. So there's really nothing for the Lions to lose at this point on Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
And I'm okay with that.
Me too.
Yes, did the NFL potentially take the meaning out of the game should Seattle beat Los Angeles? Yeah, they potentially did, and sure, they set up the Rodgers storyline and all. Okay, whatever.
Right.
But this team has been surprising all season long, and it will not shock me to see them go in, stop the run, because I don't think Rodgers has passed, and I'll have to look while we're talking about it. I don't think Rodgers has passed for over 250 yards in the last 6 games.
Bruh, no.
And so if the Lions can concentrate their efforts to stopping the run, like they did against Chicago. Now listen, people are going to look and they'll be like, they didn't stop the run. Yes, they did.
They did.
Actually, the Chicago running backs, I think, only had 55 yards. Justin Fields had 130 yards. Okay, yeah, they gave up 130 of them, but that was on 2 runs. A 64-yard run and a 30-yard run. He had 105 yards after the first quarter and only gained 27 the rest of the game.
He didn't run after the James Houston Rodrigo collision that he had where he fumbled the football. After that, he stopped running completely.
Yeah, I know. And there's, elements to his injury playing a part of that. But this game on Sunday just got, especially after Saturday night, and we're going to talk about the Michigan game against TCU, but especially after Saturday night, this game on Sunday, re-energized me. I feel very sports hungover after this weekend, right? With all of the emotion of the Michigan game on Saturday night. Then, I took the first quarter of OSU Georgia off. I was like, I can't watch any more football right now. Like
Mhm.
I've literally been glued to my TV for 4 hours. I
Right.
cannot do it. I got to take like a mental break. I tuned back into Georgia and Ohio State, and can't even like pull myself away because of how exciting that game was. And then I get to the Lions game, and I'm like, well, at least it wasn't emotional and like nerve wracking. I'm glad they had
Right.
it like in the bag by the second quarter.
Yes.
So I'm like, I'm ready to go for Sunday. I'm hoping that, the Lions can just pull one more rabbit out of the hat a little
Mhm.
bit, because Calvin thinks that the NFL is definitely throwing shade on the Lions to play at night. The NFL wants Aaron in Green Bay as long as possible. I think that's true, but I think the Aaron Rodgers shtick is getting old for just about everybody,
I agree.
Green Bay included. So I will not be surprised if Aaron Rodgers is not a Packer next year
They gotta do something with Jordan Love at a certain point.
at a
But
certain point.
yeah, I think this is okay. I'm okay with this game because, for one, the Sunday Night Football has been the premium game. There's been some Monday night games that haven't been that
Yeah.
good. Sunday Night Football has been pretty good. And before, I was trying to watch the Jags and the Titans in their Sunday night matchup. Like, I had no interest in that whatsoever.
No.
So even with it being set up where Seattle's predicating the end result of the postseason and how things progress in the Lions game, but I'm okay with seeing that. Again, this is gonna be a huge game for them to prove that they're for real in the division. You're going up against. We talk about Aaron Rodgers, but we talk about the running game too. That's the focal point of what they really need to focus on. Stopping AJ Dillon, stopping Aaron Jones. That is the number one key, and protecting the football and protecting Jared Goff too. I think their defense gets after it. If there's any time where he can crack that streak of not turning the football over, it could be in Lambeau. So they have to be able to protect him and the football to get out of this game alive with a W.
And you're going to be facing conditions that are going to be similar to what you had in Carolina. So you just got to be ready to go.